At 79, Peter Criss, the original Catman and founding drummer of the iconic rock band Kiss, has finally broken his long-held silence, and what he revealed has left fans stunned. For decades, the makeup, pyrotechnics, and loud guitars overshadowed the internal tension brewing behind the scenes. While Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley dominated the spotlight and the business, Criss was often portrayed as the weak link, unreliable, troubled, and replaceable. But now, with the clarity of time and the distance from fame's chaotic circus, Peter Criss is speaking his truth, and it paints a much more complicated and emotional picture of what really went down in the band that changed rock history. Peter Criss was there from the very beginning. Long before Kiss was selling out arenas, launching action figures, or becoming a merchandising empire, Criss was in the gritty New York clubs with Simmons, Stanley, and Ace Frehley, helping to build the band's signature sound. It wasn't just his jazz-influenced drumming or his raspy voice on ballads like Beth that defined his role, it was his heart. He was the soul of early Kiss. But success brought egos, and egos brought division. In interviews, Criss now openly admits that he felt pushed out of decision-making, musically stifled, and eventually alienated from the band he helped create. The real shock came when Criss revealed just how deep those wounds went. He described feeling like a hired hand, while Simmons and Stanley steered the group like a corporation. He was blamed for instability, drug issues, and inconsistent performances, but Criss argues that he was never given the same grace or support as his bandmates. He spoke candidly about moments where he felt disposable, even during the band's 1996 reunion, when the original lineup got back together. Behind the scenes, Criss claims he was paid less than the others and denied equal rights despite being a co-founder. He wore the same makeup, played the same shows, but was treated like a backup musician in the band he helped build. Perhaps most heartbreaking was his admission that he once considered quitting music altogether after Kiss. The years following his final departure were filled with depression, self-doubt, and a long journey of rediscovering self-worth. It wasn't until later in life that Criss found peace, not through fame or fortune, but through stepping away from the madness of the industry. Now retired from performing, he lives a quiet life with his wife, enjoying painting, writing, and his health, which had its own scares, including a battle with breast cancer, a rare diagnosis in men. What shocks fans isn't just the tension or money disputes, it's how one of rock's most iconic drummers was made to feel invisible in the very band he helped turn into legends. Criss doesn't lash out with bitterness. He speaks with sadness, reflection, and, at times, forgiveness. But make no mistake, his revelations expose the cost of fame, the erosion of brotherhood, and the lonely reality of being forgotten. At 79, Peter Criss isn't trying to reclaim glory, he's trying to reclaim his truth. And now that he's spoken, the legacy of Kiss may never look quite the same again.